Welcome to the David Starr Experience.
It's over. The Philadelphia Eagles have won Super Bowl 59. They have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22. It's their second Super Bowl win in 7 years. And the game is over. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
There's going to be a parade on Broad Street. Hey, man, if this is a dream, don't wake me up. We're going to have a parade on Broad Street.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the David Starr Experience. And I'm confused. Not even so much confused. I'm disturbed. And I'm disturbed with the fact that you have grown men, grown adult males who are coming on this application, who are not just going on this application, but going on other applications and just talking way out of school. What do I mean by talking out of school? When I came up in West Philadelphia, born and raised, there were just certain things that you just did not speak on. Certain aspects of life, certain incidents, there were just things that you just didn't talk about. Subjects that were off limits. Things that you did not discuss for fear of something bad happening to you. There were items of importance. There were subjects. There were people. You did not utter these people's names. You did not mention these people's names unless you were ready for the consequences of what happens when they hear about it. There were people in school when I was coming up that you didn't mention their names unless you were prepared to confront them or prepared for them to confront you. Certain fights that occurred, you didn't speak on those fights unless you were ready to fight one of them, because that one person thought that you either lost, that you thought that they lost, or they thought you said something disrespectful to them, and now they got to step to you to prove a point. Where am I going with this? There are things that if you are in a certain aspect of life that you just don't speak on. There are also certain things that if you are in that life that you don't need to be bringing up, because these are incidences that have occurred. And up to the time that you utter or speak on this certain subject, some people have actually at that time gotten away with the end results of said incident. Where are you going, Laverne? Follow me. We have arrived. And I mean we as a culture, as Black culture, as African American culture, as hip hop culture, as rap culture, as R&B culture, as a culture of Black people. Stay with me. We have arrived at a time where drill music has become very, how can I put this? very impactful on the culture. Drill music, drill rap has become rather impactful and very beneficial for those who take part in the culture. The record labels who have signed these artists are seeing very substantial benefits from these artists and their music, where they take what they go through in the streets and put it on wax. They go in the booth and they do their thing. If that's what inspires you to go in the booth and put out and put out what you and the fans deem as good music, then hey, you got to do what you got to do. I don't knock the hustle. I've said it before. I believe firmly that you don't knock another man's hustle. Whatever he got to do, depending on the situation. If he got to do what he got to do to get bread, then you got to do what you got to do to get bread. A hustle's a hustle. But then you have hustling, and then you have stupidity. For some reason, you have these artists who like talking about the dirt that they do in the streets, and it translates to the booth. Now, I understand that you want to go and spit what you did in your raps. I understand that to a degree because, yeah, we got that whole thing about, what is art, what is real, what's fake, blah, 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 right? But then you have a certain section of society that thinks that going on these different podcasts and talking about what you did and who you did it with and what's going on, I would never, me personally, I would never go on another man's podcast and talk about what we did, what we didn't do, especially if we got away with it. What am I
So
talking
let me get
about?
this straight. Y'all
Check
want us to
this
feel
out.
bad because a group of black men decided to go self-incriminate themselves on multiple occasions on No Jumper and Vlad TV after several people told y'all to stop going on this show. And it was nothing but collective black men or rappers in the entertainment industry. And we all know that it takes, when it comes to RICO charges, babes, they've been building those cases up for years. But Adam's not going to jail. Vlad's not going to jail. But they got them M's up off of y'all. While y'all running around extorting your entire community like they owe y'all something. Pressing people for protection. And now look at you, finna be behind them bars forever and ever, ever, ever. And don't think Brick Baby ain't finna sing like the canary he is, because what's the little crazy fella where he ain't really crazy to me with the thick locks who had just told Brick Baby, oh, I know you will snipe your man out for less than 3K, 2K. You will backdoor your homie for less than 1K. It one of them numbers. How y'all think they keep the slavery and the prison system going? They gonna need all of y'all in jail. It's about to be a lot more y'all on the chopping block.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. You got these people that are going on these podcasts talking all kind of foolishness. I mean, just talking, just yap, 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 yap. Number one, why in the hell would you go on a podcast running your mouth about something that you got away with? You got away with it. Why is it that you're on here talking about something that you did not get arrested for yet? Let me tell y'all something. The federal government takes no breaks. They don't take no breaks. They don't take nothing. They on your ass 365 days out of the year. And I think we need to remind everybody that the feds don't care about you going on somebody's podcast under the assumption that that podcast is protected by First Amendment rights. In gigantic air quotes. Some of you are under the miseducation that because because you're going on this person's podcast, that this person is protected by the First Amendment or free speech. I forget which amendment it is, but the free speech. I'm hoping I'm not talking out of school here, but if I'm not mistaken, free speech doesn't cover murder. It doesn't cover people going out and committing felonies. Just because you did dirt on the street does not mean you can go on a podcast and talk about it. Especially considering if you got away with it. Now, if you were arrested, tried, and convicted of it, that's different. That's a different story. That's kind of like, I'm trying to think of an example as to who that would fall under. But if you're arrested for a crime and you're convicted of it, and you go on a podcast and talk about it, that's different. You can't get convicted again. That's called double jeopardy. But if in the event you're on a podcast talking about you robbed somebody, you stole something, you put your hands somewhere they shouldn't have been, guess what? Depending on the timeline, that charge could still be in play. You can still be convicted of that crime. You can be charged, you can be arrested, and you can be convicted of it. Look at the YSL boys. A few of them got caught up because of stuff that was said on the internet on a podcast. YSL, this whole Big U indictment. This Big U indictment is essentially centered around them running their mouth.
A well-known hip-hop executive has turned himself into federal authorities overnight. He's accused of running a dangerous criminal enterprise. His name, Eugene Henley Jr., also known as Big U. He helped launch the career of Nipsey Hussle. Well, he's now been charged with extortion, human trafficking, fraud, and murder.
During this investigation, federal officials say they received or recovered 49 weapons, 5 pounds of methamphetamines, 10,000 fentanyl pills, and large amounts of cash. Prosecutors allege Henley ran an enterprise like a mob boss and defrauded companies, the government, and even celebrities in the process.
I'm going to go turn myself in to see what's going on. They talking about I'm a fugitive.
Music executive Eugene Henley, or Big U, taking to Instagram moments before turning himself in and just hours after federal authorities declared him a fugitive Wednesday.
They just raided all my houses.
Mr. Henley operated Big U Enterprises, a mafia-like organization.
Investigators claim Henley painted himself as a hip-hop legend and a Los Angeles community activist, but is actually, according to authorities, the leader of a South LA gang who ran an alleged criminal enterprise.
The facts alleged in the complaint is one of a murderer, a thief, a liar, and a cheat, and the criminals that enabled him.
More than a dozen others that prosecutors say are tied to the criminal case are also in custody. According to the affidavit, Henley is charged with violating the Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act. Prosecutors allege his organization, Big U Enterprises, was linked with the murder of an aspiring rapper working under Henley's label in 2021. They claim Henley shot and killed the rapper in Las Vegas after the rapper recorded a diss track about Henley. Officials say Henley then dumped his body in a ditch. Officials also claim Henley used his nonprofit organization Developing Options, which purported to help at-risk youth, to dupe taxpayers, the County of Los Angeles, and NBA players. He allegedly embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of donations and grants by transferring money into his personal bank account.
Y'all don't understand what the FBI do to black men who try to help their community.
Henley served 13 years in prison after trying to rob an undercover sheriff's deputy of cocaine back in 1991. He has not yet entered a plea deal to the current charges, but could potentially face life in prison if convicted. We reached out to his attorney and are still waiting for a response.
Yup. Yeah. Now, Big U, a lot of times I notice popping up on people's live streams, him and Whack 100 having a whole back and forth about street-ish on podcasts. Let me tell y'all something. You rappers is dumber than I actually wanted to admit. Y'all dumb. Do y'all not realize how y'all just got played? Yeah. And y'all been getting played for years. Y'all let y'all egos and you allowed your want, desire, need, and craving for clout to cloud your judgment so much so that you would allow yourself to get caught up talking about a crime that you got away with on a podcast or a platform, I should say, not just podcasting, but you've also done it in your raps. Let's just keep it real. You put yourself in a position where you can now get arrested and charged with a crime that you possibly may have gotten away with. When they go over the timeline for discovery on this Big U case, not just the Big U case, but the Big U case, Lil Durk and his murder for hire trial, when you start going over, because you got a couple different trials that I'm assuming are probably going to go into next year. I think they're still wrapping up that whole YSL mess if they haven't done it already. But the YSL case, that one, they used or tried to use various legal theories to try to, how can I say it? They try to use various legal theories to try to bring the podcasters and various, I'm lighting incense, y'all. They try to use various mediums to attempt to try to convict these young men. And those mediums included podcasts, various songs, different interviews with different people, because you have a lot of YouTube interviewers, a lot of YouTube journalists, as I call them, who are now using YouTube as a way to try to do the journalism thing. And I respect it. I really do. But when you have people who are in the street life, there's just a certain limit to certain things that you should not be saying when you got a microphone in your face. When you have a microphone in your face, it's almost like these rappers just get dumb in the mouth, just bleh, comes out, and they want to start confessing to crimes that they A, got away with, B, didn't get even suspected of, and C, if it wasn't for them even looked in their direction, to be honest with you. But I digress. Hey, it's the dumbness for me. It's the stupidity for me. Now, this is the part that bothers me. You got people, artists, And I'm going to use artists in air quotes too, because let's face it, are these brothers talented? Yes. But I use the air quotes because I think you can't be that smart. You can't be that intelligent to be dumb enough to put yourself in a position where you say things in a song that can get you locked up, especially when you realize I'm starting to think that people are starting to forget, rappers especially, that deleting someone from existence does not go away. There's no statute of limitations. That's what these rappers need to learn. That's what y'all need to learn. What the statute of limitations is. Statute of limitations means that, guess what? If you commit a crime, you have this amount of time before you can actually legally not be charged with it. So let's say you commit purse snatching or something, right? You snatching purses, you doing whatever. Okay. Statute of limitations may be 2 years behind that. Or an assault of a certain nature, as we've seen lately with the whole Diddy thing. They passed the law, the Survivors of Abuse Act, which I believe expired January 31st of this year, I think, where people who were victims of assault, of course I can't say the other word, but the victims of assault, I'm just dropping everything. Don't mind me, y'all. Victims of assault are able to, there we go. If you are a victim of assault in the state of New York, you can file in New York. You don't even have to be a resident of New York. But you were able to file. I think they opened it up. It's been open since I think about 2022 or 21, where you were able to go and basically file charges against somebody for an assault that may have taken place. Here's the kicker. You had until a certain amount of time to do it. What we didn't know is a lot of people came forward and actually put them in before the deadline. Where am I going with that? People have come forward to say what they feel and say what happened to them. And dudes is getting locked up. What's happening is these artists, these rap artists, are going down for N-word, for hire. That right there. Do you realize, if you're a rapper, that you can be arrested, charged, you can be charged, arrested, indicted, and convicted on things that occurred 20 years ago that can now come back and bite you in the ass because you talked about it? Insert Keefe D. I'll get the Keefe D in a minute. Seriously. This will be on, rappers. This will be on. Now, mind you, I don't watch Key and Peele. I couldn't name you one skit from Key and Peele. I just know the dude from Jangle Jangle. But in researching for this video, I just saw it. I was like, well, damn, this is so accurate. This is exactly what's going on nowadays. Rappers just saying whatever, just saying shit and calling it gold. Meanwhile, you got this poor man's mother who's sitting at home trying to figure out what her son did to deserve it. Look at Say So P. Say So P ain't had nothing to do with nothing. He was just minding his business in the car. I mean, I'm sorry, let me back up. Allegedly, he had nothing to do with nothing. I don't know Say So P. I don't know. I've never heard his records, none of that. But from all accounts, he was a pretty solid dude. But apparently, the streets are saying that he took something, but then his mom came online and said that he didn't. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying that to say that rappers ain't got no sense. We putting stuff out there. Oh God, I gotta download. What's his name? What's his? Oh God, the dude that got Mo3. I posted a video on TikTok, or it might have been here on YouTube. If not, I'll post it later. But I'm gonna post a video later where you can hear Mo3 at the end of the song rapping, talking about what he did to Homeboy in the club or in the studio, one of them. It's like he went on for like 6-7 minutes talking about what he did. He was in the car with this guy and they had the strap, and I'm like, why are we putting this on record? And it's not like how can I put it? This isn't like T.I. getting on the album and talking about. Remember when he did that record where he was talking about he had all type of guns? This was after he got arrested for having all them guns, and I think they were the BET Awards or some type of awards, and he got caught with all them weapons and whatnot, and then he went and got on the record and basically said what he did, but he had already been convicted of it, so they couldn't go back and be like, oh yeah, you did it, we're gonna charge you again. No. Yeah, it is stupid. It's stupid. But that's essentially what these rappers are doing now. That is essentially what these rappers are doing now. They running their mouth, talking all crazy, and they're wondering why they're getting arrested and charged with crimes. You wonder why you're going to jail at an alarming rate. You wonder why you're getting thrown in prison. Rappers, the FBI, and all those in charge are able to listen from out thin air. Haven't y'all ever seen The Wire? Don't y'all know they can pull cell phone numbers off a tower? Like, seriously. I don't understand. I don't understand this. Where's the discipline? When I came up, I'm just gonna put it where it is. I came up in an environment where if you weren't connected to that life, when you walked in the room, everybody stopped. I grew up with a couple people. If I showed up, anything that was remotely seen as criminal ceased. Everything got put away. It was like, all right, young boy here, let's not put him in a situation. Or if I was out somewhere with my friends, one of the older ones would be like, nah, get him out of here. He don't belong here. He ain't about this. He not. this is something he don't do. He has other things to look forward to. We don't want him involved in this. And they kept you out of it. You weren't in it. They kept you away because no one wants to have an innocent person on their conscience, especially for something that they didn't need to be involved in. And the shame is that you don't have artists that are doing that anymore. It's more in line and more intuitive of, oh, we got an extra body here, let's use them. Or we gonna chill, do whatever, blah, blah, blah. Not, what are we gonna do to look after young bull? Or what can we do to keep him out of the situation? They don't care no more. And these rappers don't care. These rappers don't have anything that they can look forward to. It's just, and that's sad. It's sad when you think about it. It's disgustingly sad. I don't understand. But that's mainly it. I just wanted to come and just say that. These rappers are crazy. They're out of control. Hold on. Key and Peele doing a parody of Real. They telling the truth though. There is no statute of limitations on unaliving. Absolutely, there isn't. And that's what bothers me. There is no statute of limitations on unaliving. Actually, you know what? Hold on one second. I'm going to show y'all something. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to show y'all something. And this is for all the rappers. This is for all the rappers. If you doing dirt, doing crime, and you in the booth thinking you hard, thinking you got the world by the ass, let me show you something real quick. Because this is going to bring it home for a lot of y'all. I don't know if y'all can see that. But this right here is the definition of what the statute of limitations is. This is a document that basically outlines how you can go to jail 20, 30 years after the crime was committed. Guess what? If they found out you did it, you're going. If they found out you did this crime, you're going to jail. And you're done. You're finished. There is no second life. There is no, oh, but it was 20 years ago. Y'all can't do that. They wrote these laws just for this reason. If Keefe D can be locked up for a crime that was committed almost 25 years ago, what make you think that little lick you did 3-4 years ago that they just figured out that you did it is going to stand a chance in the courtroom? Hell, they got some of these dudes caught up going back to 2021. At the YSL trial, they had some of that stuff going back to what, 2017? And you think you stand a chance with your 3-year-old little beef, your 3-4-year-old little quirk, your little your lick? You think you got a chance in a courtroom with 12 jurors of your peers? looking at you ready to wash your sorry ass life away because you wanted some YouTube clout. You think they care about you? You think the record label give a damn about you when you get locked up? Man, please. They plotting on trying to they plotting on your royalties. Get out of here, dude. Seriously. When y'all gonna wake up? When are you rappers gonna wake up? If you in the streets and you doing what you do in the streets, cool. No problem with that. I get it. But sometimes, and I said this before, you just gotta learn when to shut the fuck up. You just gotta learn when to close your mouth. That brings me to another gentleman. A gentleman that wrote a book a few years ago detailing the unaliving of perhaps one of the greatest artists to ever pick up a microphone and make words rhyme. One of the greatest artists to ever pick up a microphone and say something to impact the culture. I'm talking about Keefe. I'm talking about Tupac, one of the greatest rappers ever. Tupac was taken out of here by this gentleman here. Meet Keefe D. For those that don't know, I'm pretty sure everybody on here and watching this later are going to recall who this gentleman is. This is Keefe D. Keefe D wrote a book where he detailed the events surrounding the murder and unaliving of Tupac. Granted, he said what he said. He gave very specific details about who had what, who said what, who did what, where he was, etc. Now, here's the catch. He was in the car. Now, this is pretty much detailed by him. I won't make this long because eventually I'm gonna have to do a deep dive on him too. Because yeah, he got to go too. But the dude that allegedly was the one that pulled the trigger, Mr. Orlando Anderson, he was subsequently unalived after Tupac was unalived. Because I won't get into the whole story because that's a whole documentary in itself. But long story short, I'll give it to you in the David Starr version. Okay. Tupac in Vegas, Mike Tyson fight, finds an op in the hallway, whoops his ass. Op comes back later, supposedly gets in the car with this idiot. They cruise by, unalive him. There's all type of theories and speculations as to who was all involved in it. Diddy's name popped up, but I'm not sure. Anyway, this gentleman was supposedly, allegedly, in the car when this went down. The kicker is, he supposedly was aware of everything. He knew what was going on. He knew what they were there for. He knew why they were in the car. He knew what was going to happen while they were in the car, and they sped off. Here's the kicker. Supposedly, they picked him up a few days later afterward, and he gave a statement to police, supposedly saying what happened on the condition of immunity, allegedly. And there's a big controversy right now behind that. So, because he wrote in a book that he was there, they turned around and picked him up for the M word on the account of he actually supposedly violated some type of agreement where when he was in that interrogation room, everything that was said in there stayed in there. So nobody knew what happened in that interrogation room until he actually put it in the book. When he put it in the book, that's when they got him up out of here. When he decided to put that in the book, it was a done deal. Yeah. When he put all these different details inside of a book, that's when they found out. When he found out that he was gonna go down for M word. But I'll do a deep dive on him because he needs to be spoken of, because I think that falls into the whole thing here with the whole feds listening in on tapes and such. You know, that falls into what happens when you say dumb stuff online. He put that information in a book, and because he put it in a book, he violated some sort of agreement that he had with prosecutors. So that whole thing is going to be sorted in a whole bunch of mess. But yeah, you rappers need to cut it out. But just as
So
a
let me get this
reminder,
straight. Y'all want us to
here you
feel
go.
bad because a group of black men decided to go self-incriminate themselves on multiple occasions on No Jumper and Vlad TV after several people told y'all to stop going on this show. And it was...
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this again. Stop going on these podcasts running your mouth. Keep it about the music. That's the problem. Keep it about the music. I don't want, no, I'm not here to talk about nothing other than the music. The second you ask me questions about street shit, I'm leaving. See, that's the problem. These new dudes nowadays just don't give a damn. They will talk about whatever that's going to make the interview pop. Truth be told, if you really want to get down to the brass tacks of it, I think, me personally, Adam 22, No Jumper, and the rest of them, they feed off this. They live for this for this street shit content. They live for that. Rappers are coming on their podcast and talking about issues going on in the streets instead of keeping it about the music. Me me personally, I think that if he didn't have that option, or if he didn't have that street shit genre, I promise you there would not be a whole bunch of interviews going on Adam's podcast or No Jumper. No Jumper would be like, they wouldn't have the popularity that they do. I promise you they wouldn't. If these artists went on there and stopped talking about street shit, all this popularity with No Jumper wouldn't exist. It would still be Vlad, and even Vlad too, to an extent. He's starting to venture into the street thing of it. And that's gonna come back and bite him in the butt too, because he done already been accused of being a Fed so many times. For the record, do I think these guys are feds? Do I think they're police? No. Do I believe that the police use their shit to try to convict dudes? Absolutely, they do. They're well within their right to. So if you know you're gonna go on a podcast and somebody's gonna put a microphone in your face, if we're not talking about beats, features, or rappers, we don't need to be talking about nothing else. Interview over. Have a nice day.
And it was nothing collective black men or rappers in the entertainment industry. And we all know that it takes, when it comes to RICO charges, babes, they've been building those cases up for years. But Adam's not going to jail. Vlad's not going to jail. But they got them M's up off of y'all. While y'all running around extorting your entire community like they owe y'all something. Pressing people for protection. And now look at you, finna be behind them bars forever and ever, ever, ever. And don't think Brick Baby ain't finna sing like the canary he is, because what's the little crazy fella where he ain't really crazy to me with the thick locks who had just told Brick Baby, oh, I know you will snipe your man out for less than 3K, 2K. You will backdoor your homie for less than 1K. It one of them numbers. How y'all think they keep the slavery and the prison system going? They gonna need all of y'all in jail. It's about to be a lot more y'all on the chopping block.
Keefe lost his confidential informant status, just like if they put him in witness protection and he talked, he would have lost that protection. It's his own fault for bragging about it. Exactly. That's what got him caught up, was the fact that, now this is alleged what I'm about to say, because I remember there were different people that were involved in that investigation that are ex LAPD or ex Vegas PD, because of course that tied, because it happened in Vegas, it all came back to LA because there were ties to the people that were involved in it that went back to LA. I remember the LA investigators, some of them getting on these different podcasts like Vlad and other places, and they talked about how everybody knew about the Keefe D situation. It was like everybody knew Keefe D was involved, but because he allegedly had, quote, immunity, end quote, they couldn't do nothing to him. But then when he wrote that book and he put that on wax, they were like, oh, so he was there. We had a deal. He supposedly broke it. So now we can go get him. And that's what happened, allegedly. They got him for running his mouth. And now he's going to go down for the crime. They're going to clear that investigation. The Tupac murder will go down as officially being solved. And that's going to be that. The safest place for Keefe is in prison, honestly. Whatever happened to Jaguar telling all she knew? Well, I'm not sure what's going on with Jaguar right now. As far as I know, Jag is doing what Jag do. I almost ran into Jaguar one day downtown somewhere. I did not find out until afterwards when my friend was like, "Oh yeah, that was Jaguar." She kind of does her thing between Philly and Jersey and West Coast and whatnot. But yeah, y'all got to chill. Y'all got to chill, man. We'll see what happens with going forward with these rappers, with these investigations and whatnot. But I'm gonna say it again: stop getting on these podcasts running your mouth. Stop getting on these podcasts talking all this gank. Because guess what? Little do you know, the feds are listening. They're listening and they're paying attention. The feds are watching you. This logo right here has to be scary when somebody's handing you a piece of paper and that logo is on the letterhead. And at the bottom, essentially it reads, you know, you're going to jail for X amount of years. But it is what it is. I thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all allowing me to come on here and vent for 54 minutes. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. Stay tuned for some more lives coming up in the next couple of days. I'll be posting some shorts. You're going to see a lot more of me. All right? Holla at your boy. David Starr.
Welcome to the David Starr Experience.
It's over. The Philadelphia Eagles have won Super Bowl 59. They have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22. It's their second